about to do my makeup, and I was going to show you everything that I'm going to use is in this one palette. This is the Owl palette. It's bigger, it has a bigger mirror in it, and it's one layer, but it's kind of a deluxe type of palette. It's a different material than the standard ones. So this one's kind of an upgrade if you want a palette like this. It's really good for eyeshadows just to keep them protected. But I love to use this for all of my makeup as well. Just to give you an idea of what I'm going to use and what's in my makeup routine on a daily basis, it's going to be these two colors right here. This is my two highlight colors. These are my foundation colors. One is my main shade, one is a lighter shade that kind of brightens up my face. And then I have a contour, a bronzer. This other contour is actually for my brows, which I have already done my brows. I have two lip and cheek colors. I have an illuminator, which is that kind of that sheer shimmery glow for the cheeks. And then I have 4 eyeshadows. So all of that fits in this compact. And then I'm going to use one brush today for my face, one brush for my eyes, and then I used another brush for my brows. So that would be 3 total for the whole face. So all the makeup, the 3 brushes, and there you go. Okay, sorry, one more thing. My eyeshadow primer, because I do not do my makeup without eyeshadow primer. So when it comes to an eyeshadow primer, this is because my eyes are hooded and droopy, and you can see I have a permanent crease right there. And that's because of that droop that hangs over my lid. So if I don't have this primer in place, my eyeshadows will crease 100%. And some people are able to use their highlight shade, like the main foundation shade. They can use it on their eyelids and it works fantastic. That does not work for me. I have to have an actual eyeshadow primer because of the severity of this crease that's constantly there. If my eyes were not hooded, obviously, see this, the hood hangs like this, okay? And so this excess skin droops over constantly. So if my eye was like this and opened and closed like this, it would be no problem because it doesn't have much of an actual crease there. It's actually happening, but mine is constant. Even when I move my eyes, it's constantly folding over my eye throughout the day. So it just does not work for me, but these work every time. All right, I don't want this to be a really long tutorial, so I'm gonna kind of speed through some of this. I may even just do one eye and then skip the next one, but this is Cupcake. This is what I use. I do my primer and then I do this base all over my eyelid, gives that nice clean canvas there before I do my eyeshadow color. So no matter what combination I'm doing, I always have Cupcake in my palette, and this just gets my eye nice and primed for my eyeshadow color. All right, I'm going in Cafe. This is a color I typically use in my outer corner. It's kind of a medium to dark color, but I'm gonna put it all the way in my crease, and I may kind of deepen it up in the outer corner as well, but we're going pretty basic for eyeshadow. And this is the eyeshadow brush. This is SEINT's eyeshadow brush that I'm using. But I'm using the fluffy side first, and then we're gonna switch to the small smudgy side, and I'm gonna take a little bit of this under my lash line. Not all the way to the other end, but just a little bit across the lower lash line. And then I'm gonna work this into that outer corner, kind of making that outer V, but I'm really doing this entire outer third of my eye because the way my eyelid folds over, that way you see it no matter what angle or no matter what I'm doing with my eyes, you can still see it. So I just move them around my finger and dip it in. This is hot chocolate. I'm gonna put this on my lid. This is a shimmery, kind of a goldish brown shimmery color. I'm gonna put it on my lid, and then I take it a little bit above just so you can see it even when my eye starts to kind of droop a little bit. And then I'm going to take Drift and put this in the inner corner to brighten everything up. And I use my finger for the shimmers just because it just puts more pigment down and it just makes it a little bit simpler. So, and then I'll take my brush, that fluffy side, and I'll just lightly blend those in. Go ahead and add my mascara. I'm not going to do it on camera because it's just slow and boring, but nothing special. I just take my time to coat each lash. Okay, mascara is on. I did my top lashes only. Some days I just don't do the bottom lashes. I don't know, no particular reason. Some days I just feel like I just don't want to feel like too heavy on my eyes, but anyway. So we're gonna do one brush for my entire face using the 3D brush. So if you get one brush, this is the one I typically recommend. So I'm gonna show you how to use it. And I'm gonna get the pointy side here and dip it in my contour. And we're gonna contour under the cheekbone. We're just gonna get it on, and then we'll go back and blend in a little bit. For your contour, you may have to press it a little bit harder. The formula for the contour is a little bit more dense, so it's not quite as creamy as the highlights. So you may have to press just a little bit harder, but you can also heat it up with a hairdryer for a second if your creams feel kind of cold. All right, tiny bit more right there, and we're just gonna let that chill. So now I'm gonna go into my main highlight color. Use the bottom side of my brush, and I'm dipping into Athens, which is more of a lighter shade for me. In the summertime, I was using Hazel, which is definitely a very warm shade, and then I bumped to Amber, that's a little bit lighter, and then now today I'm doing Athens because I have like no tan on me anywhere. Sometimes I'll do sunless tanner, and then I'll do a darker foundation color, but I am just doing anyway. So I went ahead and bumped it back down to Athens. Athens is out of stock, but I think it should be back by the 15th, so just a couple more days and it should be back. So now I'm actually not going to go back to this side, never mind. I'm going to go with my finger and do my lightest, brightest color that I'm going to do kind of just a little bit to brighten up. This may be too light of a shade for you, but usually one shade or two brighter works great. So this is just one that I like to use sometimes, just a little bit. And if my eyes feel like they're really dark one day, I might use a demi corrector instead. So it just depends on what your skin is like and what you prefer. So if you like that light bright look, you can definitely get a brighter shade, but usually 1 or 2 shades lighter is perfect. I'm about to blend, but I was going to show you. So I do have product still left on my brush. And so a lot of questions I get is how does it not transfer? How does it not mix everywhere? Well, like I'm going to show you, there's a little bit of product coming off, but there's not so much that's rubbing off on here that it's going to make a difference when I'm blending out. So typically what I do, if you don't feel comfortable, wipe it really, really good on a paper towel before you start blending. And then I'm going to go in and start pressing. You don't want to pull, but you just kind of press and stamp down gently to start blending out. So I'm going to work lightest to darkest and do these lighter shades, and then I'll work into my main highlight color, and then I'll blend my contour. And then after my contour, I'll add a little bit of bronzer probably, and then my blush. All right, so now I'll just go in and I have pretty much everything in one layer on my face. So I don't have, okay. So not a ton of product on the face when you do it in one layer. And that's pretty good there. We'll get this highlight up here and then blend out this contour. Blend it upward into the cheek a little bit. And then I do little circular motions. If you have the detail brush, you can kind of push it up into the hairline like so. And just work my way around to both sides. Push it up. You don't want to drag that contour too far down. The whole point is to kind of help lift and sculpt. So okay, my cheek looks a little red. I may not need blush over there. I'm getting kind of hot in my sweatshirt, which I should have known not to put it on, but I just love it. So it's really not coverage that I need right there. I may just put a tiny bit. I think my cheeks are just getting blushed. So let's just add some more blush to it. Let's do bronzer first. Let's go, I'm gonna dip into my bronzer and just do a little bit on my forehead, right in here. So the contour kind of goes, you can think of an upside down V, And then the bronzer is sort of in these little high points of the forehead where the sun would typically hit. And then down onto the cheeks, wherever you typically get sunburn is the best place for bronzers, the most natural place for it. So just kind of tap that in just to give some color. I love some warmth and I love some color because I hate feeling washed out. Especially in the wintertime. I will still wear bronzer in the wintertime just to give some warmth. Okay, this lip and cheek color right here, this is Melody. This is a shade of the season for summer, which will be going away pretty soon. I love it. It's such a pretty soft pink. It's still a peachy pink, which tend to be like my everyday type colors that I flock towards. So it's a satin shade, so there's not a lot of sheen to it, but I need to look and see how much longer Melody will be around. But once they change over to the fall shades of the season, this one will be gone. So I'm just using that same bottom side of my brush to tap it in, kind of blend it into that contour a little bit. I love blush, so I put it all over my cheek because I like a fuller cheek. So you just put however much you want. You can build that color. Being a cream, you can do as little or as much as you'd like to get the color that you want. All right, the only things I have left is this other lip and cheek color. I'm gonna put a little bit on my lips. I don't really want a bold color. I may tone it down a little bit with another shade in here. And then my illuminator. So this is Cindy. I'm gonna put some on my lips. It's a glossier sheen, so it's gonna have more of that shine to it. A really pretty color for lips if you like pink. And actually, I'm good with that. I was gonna try to tone it down a little bit. I think I'll just add my illuminator on my Cupid's bow, like I usually do. Okay, and then I'll put a little bit on the top of my cheeks. So this honey, it looks very yellow, but it's very sheer, so you're not going to see just yellow on the skin. Maybe a little bit on my nose. So when you have it on the cheekbones, you're usually going to see this when the light hits. So kind of like at an angle, when the sun kind of angles down, you'll see it at the top of your cheek. If you need to blend it out, you can take that same brush and just kind of blend it a little bit. There you go. Lastly, you need some setting spray, and if you prefer more of a matte finish, or if you live in a humid climate like I do, you may want some setting powder. Completely up to you and your skin and your needs. So add setting spray for sure. Sometimes I'll add setting spray as a primer as well, but that's totally optional. You may just like to play around and see which one of those combinations works best for you. But that's it. That's pretty much it here. I've got everything that I used in this compact, and it makes it super simple, easy to travel, very convenient, and I don't have to rummage through a huge pile of random products in my bag. So if you would like to get color matched, I can help you do that. I have a form. You just fill it out and send your photo. I'll color match you and I will build your palette. If you would like a specific palette, you can also note that on the form. But otherwise, I will build it based on what you are telling me that you want in your palette. You can do whatever you want, from the basics to like the whole shebang.